We come back to our class, our sacred space, our temple. Okay, so as I was mentioning, yesterday's topic is pretty big, and we talked about the 8 biggies of Leonard Orr, who was the founder of circular breathing, and 7 inhibitors to bliss. It was a book that was written by my friend, and all of those things that I shared yesterday is like everything that we go through in breathwork classes and breathwork sessions to create the freedom that we're searching, right? To create the peace and the openness and the release of the past, and purify the body from all the contracted spaces that trauma has created in our minds and in our bodies. Something that I want to share, also about that in regards to any trauma is that the avoidance state, is innocent, right? Remember that we want to reestablish our innocence to create healing. It's a very important aspect. So the fear of looking at what could be causing today's unhappiness is innocent, okay? It's normal to have that hesitation and that fear of like, I don't want to look at that. And that avoidance state is innocent. And what comes to the thing that keeps us committed is our decision and our commitment to healing. So commitment is big because the emotion is going to be all over the place, and it's going to try to pull us away from our healing because it's uncomfortable to be in the body. So then that's when you go, I'm going to do whatever it takes. It's your will. Your will needs to come in and say, okay, even though I feel really uncomfortable right now, I am committed to my healing and I want to look at this, okay? For those of you who are more scientific based and you need a little bit more of science behind it, or more research in what I talked about yesterday, how your traumas, early childhood trauma is creating the illnesses and the emotional instability. I'm going to mention a couple of books for you, and I'm going to read a little bit about from one of these books. So a doctor, there are 2 doctors. This one doctor, he's doing amazing work out in the world. Dr. Gabor Mate, he is a retired doctor right now. He's just out lecturing, but he worked for a couple of decades with patients, and he documented cases after cases, okay, of how people's illnesses was directly correlated to early childhood trauma. So if you haven't seen him and if you haven't heard of him, go on YouTube and look at his videos. He is amazing, okay? Science behind it, scientifically proven, a ton of research. So if you need a little bit of research, go ahead. I don't think that he is very into birth trauma like us. We really study the birth script and the birth trauma, but he has so much information and science behind everything that we believe in and that we witness all the time as breath workers. So Dr. Gabor Mate, this is a great book, When the Body Says No. Amazing, okay? Dr. Gabor Mate. So check him out. And I'm going to read about a little bit from Birth Without Violence. This is a very old book. And Dr. Frederic Labourier, he's a French doctor, and he wrote this book, Birth Without Violence. And I'm gonna listen to this. Dr. Frederick Labourier, who has himself delivered more than 10,000 babies, presents his radical yet supremely simple techniques for easing the birth trauma and helping the new human being to start life without pain, confusion, and fear. So he was an obstetrician and he delivered babies, 10,000 babies, before he realized, hey, this baby actually is thinking, is feeling, and is very much aware of everything that's going on. Because for a long time, doctors thought that babies didn't feel or think, or that nothing got recorded. And they were like, you know, we can do all of these procedures on the baby and everything is gonna be fine because they are not mature and they can't think. That is not true. Babies are conscious and aware of everything. And they're taking in information just like we are today. Okay? The only thing that the baby doesn't have is a fully formed brain, physical brain, right? But it's conscious, it's infinite being just like we are, made out of energy. It's just in a little body yet still. So I'm going to read a little bit about this. Okay, so another thing that I want to say, if you're feeling uncomfortable in this topic, it's like just perfect, okay? That means that you're actually ready to release some suppressed material that's causing you pain. So listen to this, and then I'm going to tell you some stories about my birth. So this is from Birth Without Violence by that doctor, the French doctor, Dr. Labourier, talking about the transition from womb to the atmosphere, right? So the baby is in the womb, and what does the womb look like? It's like a little universe, right? The womb is warm, and the baby is connected and getting nutrition 24/7 through the umbilical cord, is just floating around like his own little universe, right? So the baby is directly connected to the mother, and the mother represents everything. The mother is the source for everything for the baby. Okay, so that connection with mother is unbelievable. It's sacred and it's remarkable. And it represents the source. So remember that. Okay, so from the book. So whether this transition, he's talking about the transition from birth to the atmosphere, from being here. Whether this transition from receiving oxygen through the umbilical cord to autonomous breathing is made slowly, progressively, or brutally in panic and terror, can make the difference between a gentle birth or tragedy. So Dr. Labourier was a huge advocate for gentle birth, because he saw that all of the things that they were doing to the baby were actually creating damage to the baby. So he was an advocate to gentle births. So if the changeover comes abruptly, it will leave a mark for the rest of life. Any future change will always be perceived as threatening. But is birth really so important? One might ask. It doesn't last long, you could say, compared with what comes before and after it. Maybe it's just a nasty moment to get through. Yes, birth and the moments that follow, however few, will leave a mark for the rest of life. It is as if we are heading off into the wrong direction, starting on the wrong foot. It's like a boat leaving the harbor with the poor captain not knowing he has a faulty compass. This compass, one might say, is breathing. So what does that say? What does that mean? That means that at birth, if we were abruptly cut from the umbilical cord, which was our connection to oxygen and to source, our breathing mechanism was kind of damaged, okay? Was kind of like abruptly cut, and the baby kind of went into a panic. Where is my oxygen? Where is my source? Where is Mama Bear? The universe. Where's my universe? Where is love? Okay, so just remember that being abruptly cut and not easily transitioned could have created a lot of trauma in the baby's psyche. Why is it important to talk about this? Because if your breathing mechanism was disturbed and not fully developed with gentleness, and your first perception of life came in with terror and fear of, am I going to make it, will create the imprint that then you perceive the life through that imprint. And the energetic, the energy, the emotional energy is directly attached to that thought that the baby made. So here's the thing. It all comes down to, what decision did the baby make? What was the conclusion and what went on in the baby's head? Okay, so we all made up different stories. We all made up different thoughts about different things when we first came out. The mother is symbolic of the source of love and the G word, God. Coming out of the womb and not having the support and not having a gentle birth, there's a whole team of nurses and doctors there supporting you to come out to life. But to the baby, it feels like they're actually getting hurt and it doesn't feel good. So the staff, the medical staff, represents support, being supported and being ushered into life. So your first thoughts about life was taken at birth, and probably some thoughts about yourself, your most negative thoughts about yourself, the personal lie and the specific negatives usually was taken also at birth. Okay. Good morning. Yes, Michelle, that's how we spell it. Good morning, Keith. Woo. Good morning. So I'm gonna pause that there, okay, because we can talk about this for days, and I have talked about this for days in seminars, but I'm not gonna here because I'm trying to keep this for 40 minutes. Now, let me talk about my story so you can get a sense of like how insanely accurate this is. So in my first sessions, okay, with my breath workers coach, I was not trying to remember anything. I was just there to heal myself and to get out of my emotional turmoil, right? Good morning. And so I'm there breathing and boom, where am I? I'm like, this is a long time ago, okay? This is like 15, 16 years ago. I am at this little tiny thing and all I can think of, this thought keeps repeating over and over in my head during my breath work. And I just perceive that I am very, very small. And the thought that keeps going in my head while I'm breathing is, why do you want to kill me? I am so little. And then the breathwork session goes forward. I am extremely uncomfortable. This was actually a whole weekend seminar that I was attending. And so during the whole weekend, I was like in process. I didn't feel my body. I wanted to check out as much as possible because it was so uncomfortable to be in my body. There was no emotion. I wasn't sobbing, sad, angry, none of that. I was just like, get me out of my body. And so throughout the weekend, I learned about the conception trauma, which is the moment our soul enters the body. And so my conception trauma was my mother had thoughts of aborting me. I didn't know that. I was the 5th child. My mother's 7th pregnancy. She had miscarriages. And after the seminar was over, Monday, Tuesday, my mother was still alive. My mother has passed 5 years ago. I called my mom because, my coaches told me that was probably a conception thought and stuff like that. And I asked my mother, I said, Mom, I was living here. She was in Brazil. I asked her very kindly and lovingly, did you have thoughts that you didn't want me? And she confirmed it. She said, yes, I did. And she explained to me it was the 5th pregnancy, the 5th child, the 7th pregnancy, and she had already 4 kids. And I grew up in Brazil. They were not very in a financial condition to have another child. It was a burden to have another child for my mother. And so what happened? She had thoughts of oh no, maybe I should let this one go. She had thoughts of aborting me, but she never carried through. And she went to the doctor, and she remembers saying to the doctor what she wanted to do, and the doctor said no. The doctor said to her, no, she's going to be a beautiful little girl. How did the doctor even knew that, right, back then? So the point is, even the thoughts of aborting the child, the baby, can affect the fetus. And so me being a very sensitive being, I took on that very, very, hard on my being. So the thought was, I'm not wanted. And then the anxiety and the fear that my life was at stake. Somebody was going to come and get me. So that's one story. I have many stories because I have unraveled pretty much all aspects of my birth. So this is one story. My conception trauma during a breathwork session. I remember the thought kept going over and over in my head. Why do you want to kill me? I am so little. How did that impact my life? I'm going to share with you. First of all, I'm not wanted became an imprint in my mind And then it became what? A story that I created over and over again in life, with people that I loved, with relationships. I always felt I wasn't wanted. And another big aspect was about life itself. I felt like I didn't have a place in this life. I felt like I wasn't celebrated. I wasn't, I didn't have my footprints right here. You know, I was always waiting that something could have happened to me that was threatening to my being. Okay, so that's one aspect. Conception is part of the birth script. Okay, good morning. So here's another story, just to give you some content of like how amazing and magical and like what this is. My birth was a planned cesarean because my mother didn't want to have any more kids, right? So she thought in her mind, I'll have a cesarean and I'm going to cut my tubes and connect the tubes, and I'm not going to have any more kids. So I'm going to have a cesarean. So she planned it out. And in a breathwork session, it came to mind again. It's not like we're not trying to remember this. It's just what needs to come forward to free you up energetically and free your mind from these imprints. So it's not like we're trying to remember this. As we breathe and relax, things come up to be clear. So I'm breathing, and then I just have this sense of I come out of the womb. They show me to my mother like this. They show me to my mother, and then they take me away and put me on a cold scale. And I'm like, whoo, what's happening? I am being disconnected from my mother, which is my source, and put aside. And the doctor just goes like this, back to my mother to continue the surgery and tie her tubes. And I am over to the side, feeling what? Neglected, disconnected, and I am not important. That was my birth story. That was my birth imprint. Good morning. We're going to start the breath work in just a second. So I'm giving some stories for you to see that unraveling the birth script is freeing, and you get to go, whoa, are you what? This is where the thought came from. So my imprint was, I'm not important. It was a big thought that I had in my mind that had so much charge to it. And what did we talk about early in the program? Your energetic charge, right, attracts the story over and over again, because we are energetic beings and the universe is responding to your frequency and your vibration. So my vibration was sadness and grief. I am not wanted and I'm not important. And I recreated that over and over in my life until I woke up and cleared it. Good morning. So that's how magical this work is. Usually people come to do this work when they have tried everything and they still haven't found relief, and they want to do holistic things and not go into, you know, pharmaceutical medicine and you know, the route of continuing to suppress emotions. This is bringing your aliveness back as you release these charges that's still in the body, because the body remembers. And that's why somatic work is so powerful. Everything that has ever happened is stored. The trauma, the brain records it and then it suppresses it because the baby doesn't have the brain to process everything. It's just recording it. Boom, 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 taking in a thought, energetic charge, and then it goes boom, back into a file because the baby can't process it. But it's still recorded, and that is the baseline that we are functioning from. And I have seen that for 15 years, over and over and over again with clients. It is amazing. So let's do our breath work. Thank you for listening to my story. And it's just a story that my brain created, and I am free from it. So would you like to be free from your stories and increase your capacity for the greater vision of what's really going on, and not just the short imprint that we made up when we first came out? Okay, I'm gonna play some music and we're gonna do some breathing, because breathing is our compass to life. Reestablishing connection to your breath, reconnecting to your breathing gives you the right direction to connection and to source. Okay, close your eyes, please. Start to connect the breath, circular connected breathing. Good morning. For expansion and release of anything that's keeping you small, keeping you contracted. Getting out of contraction into expansion. And your true nature. So connect the inhale with the exhale by just allowing the exhale to flow out, and then immediately pulling that inhale. Awareness to details. How does it feel in your body right now? Total relaxation. Using your will. I am safe and I am healed and whole in this holy instant. Declaring it. Keep the breath going. Relax the body and expand the mind by reaching out in all directions with your energetic body. What are you committed to in your life? What are you committed to? I am committed to peace and freedom. What are you committed to? Calling in the light. And allowing the breath to be your teacher. Your compass to enlightenment. Your compass back to oneness, back to love. Inhale and exhale. Breathing in and breathing out. I am love. I am light. I am one with my source. I forgive myself completely for any trauma that I have created for myself or inherited. Breathing in and breathing out. Pulling in the oxygen. Pulling in energy, divine energy. Prana. Life itself. Dropping any walls and barriers from intimacy with yourself, from communion with your being and your body. Gratitude for this vessel, this physical body that's a little denser from our energetic body, but it's still energy. This body is amazing. The wisdom that is in it is amazing. Your food gets digested by itself. Your heart is beating without you even thinking, pumping in the blood that flows through your veins. The miracle of life. You are a miracle. Deep gratitude for life itself. Which is very hard if you're processing trauma. It's a little hard to have gratitude. I understand that. So having allowance for anything that you're feeling or processing. I love and accept myself completely. I am determined to see life differently. What can you become aware of today that you haven't yet? That if you did, it would create so much freedom for you. And are you willing to let go of anything that's inhibiting you from feeling peace and joy? Breathing in and breathing out, relax your heart, relax the spaces within and around the heart, and let it expand out in all directions. Beaming out. It's safe to love. It's safe to love again. And it's safe to trust love again. I forgive myself for thinking that I am separate from love, from source. It's safe to come out. Breathing in and breathing out. breathing energy as well as air. Relax the jaw, relax any areas that you're noticing that's contracted. Relax your stomach. Breathing in and breathing out. Are you willing to be the miracle that you truly be? We are in the age of miracles right now. Would you claim it? I am a miracle. And I am a miracle worker. I offer miracles to others. Yes, thank you. You can keep breathing if you want. And slowly slow down the breath. Being the miracle, allowing yourself to be that miracle for yourself and for others. And what miracles can you receive and be today? Are you willing to acknowledge all the miracles that has occurred already in your life? Yay! Okay, guys, are you ready to be a miracle today and create miracles? Yes? Yes, please. How are you guys feeling? How I feel is... Wow, you guys are still breathing, aren't you? Okay, I'm gonna sign off. Everyone is still in their breath. Calm, okay. Hi, Grace, you're feeling calm, good. Yes, please. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing your presence and your light. Let's be a miracle today and expect miracles. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. I will see you tomorrow for day 14.